What's up, everybody? This is Josh from Practical Theism. Hope everybody is doing well in 2021. Having a great 2021 so far. Thank goodness we're out of 2020. Man, what a crazy year. I gotta say, it went by insanely fast for me, and I'm sure it probably did for a lot of you. Needless to say, I'm excited to start a new year. Got a lot of cool things going on to the Practical Theism channel, but today I wanted to dive into a new movie that came out. Disney Pixar put out a new movie called Soul, and it's a really, really kind of cute little movie. We watched it with the kids. They actually stayed pretty engaged. I didn't think they were going to be so engaged. But if you saw Inside Out, which was another movie they did that was based more around like anthropomorphizing human emotion and things like that, Soul gets into the concept of souls. What happens when a person dies? Where does the soul go? How are souls created? How are personalities formed? There's this whole dynamic to it, and really, really well done. They get a lot of things right theologically too. It's really interesting. Like when a soul departs from the body is necessarily dead. We see that language kind of echoed in the book of James too, where the spirit needs the body and the body needs the spirit, kind of in this correlation to faith and works. Faith without works is dead in the same way a body without a spirit's dead. So there's things like that that are really interesting. And then the artist's depiction of the afterlife. And then there's this whole scene of like baby souls before they go into bodies and they're ready for earth. They kind of have to absorb all these personalities. So there's these sorters who are like a hypothesis, right? They're not real tangible things, but a depiction of how these potentially could be made. It's like, oh, you four go be, you're going to go in and get this personality trait of being insecure, and you four go be secure, and you four are going to be angry, and you four are going to be kind. It's really, really kind of interesting. That aside, there's one aspect of the movie that I found really, really fascinating and very applicable to kind of just today, right? And just human dynamics, really. There's a whole scene. There's a positive aspect to this piece where the story follows Joe Gardner, who basically falls down kind of like a sewer well before he gets his big break. He's a piano player. Music is kind of his passion. He feels like he was created for music. And he ends up going to the beyond. He dies. His soul departs from his body, and he's like, it's not my time. I need to get back to my body. And so he finds himself in this group where these older souls mentor these younger souls before they go beyond, before they cross over, so to speak. And so he's mentoring this soul called 22. And Joe Gardner is trying to get back to Earth because he just got the gig of a lifetime as a piano player. And so he's walking around with 22, this soul number 22, who never ended up going down to Earth. But Tina Fey plays 22, and she is like just a tough cookie to crack, and no mentor has been able to mentor her to get her to go down to Earth. And so they're moseying around, and they find themselves, Joe Gardner's following 22, and they go into this place called the Zone. And this is a play on all those times when you're here, you're in the moment. You're just living life in the moment, not a care, but you're so focused on whatever you're doing. If you're an athlete or an actress or a musician, you've probably experienced this in some degree, or maybe a painter. You're in the moment, you're in the zone, and you're playing soccer, and you're on the field. Nothing else is around you. You're in it, right? And there's this whole play where 22 likes to mess with these souls who are in the zone. So she'll see an actress playing, and they're in the zone, meaning they're kind of having this out-of-body experience, and she picks up sawdust. She's like, I love to mess with the people that are in the zone. Check this out. And she throws a snowball, so to speak, at an actress who's in the zone, and it flashes to her on Earth, and she's trying to like do this line, and she just forgets her line. She drops out of character. She just goes line, and it's really funny. And probably the funniest one is when she throws something at one of the Knicks players, and then the Knicks are going up for a slam dunk, and they don't get it. The announcer's like, and the Knicks lose again. It was just, the comedic timing was great. But there's another aspect of the zone that I found really fascinating and really, really resonated with me. And it was the depiction of the lost souls. And these lost souls were formless kind of creatures, these snowmen, so to speak, these kind of flowy, ebb and flowy, just no personality, no character, just dead inside. And you see what they really are. It's these souls that have kind of surrounded themselves with this sandstorm, so to speak, to where they were cut off from the outside world in reality. And how they depict the lost soul is they're like, those are the lost souls. Those are the people who are so obsessed with something or someone that they are disconnected or disengaged from reality. And when they said that, I thought, man, how right is that? There are times when we get in our lives, whether it's spiritual lives, just regular daily life, where we get so focused on ourselves, so focused even on our ministry, on our work, on our job, on our spouse, so focused on many of these things in life, this stuff that's around us, focused on getting a six-pack in our workout regimen, focused on making sure we eat right every day. We're in the zone and we get so lost and consumed by the focus that we're placing on these temporal goods that we necessarily lose ourselves and disconnect ourselves from reality. I think we saw a lot of that last year in 2022. Not 2022, because we're in 2021, but in 2020, TOO2. I think we saw a lot of that in 2020 with the COVID-19 pandemic, the coronavirus hitting us, all the political unrest with the election in the United States of America. We got so focused on these issues, we got disconnected with the reality of our relationship to ourselves, our relationship to God, and our relationship to those around us. And I think a lot of people, if we're really honest with ourselves, found ourselves pretty wildly out of balance. And it's in those times that we can't rest in that, or we can't rest and step back and continue in that to be blinded by our focus on one thing, that we ignore all these other things around us, because the balance of the spiritual life and the balance of your life is directly in proportion to your excelling in life, to our growth in life. If we don't have a realistic grasp on what our strengths are, for example, what our weaknesses are, whether that's strengths in our spiritual life with God, our weaknesses in our spiritual life with God, or whether that's our strengths in our marriage, weaknesses in our marriage, if we're disconnected from that reality of what those are, we have no room for growth. And what comes to mind here too is in the Catholic tradition, the necessity of what they call the examination of conscience, and how vital that is, and vital that you do it not just once a year, but they actually recommend do it every day. At the end of every day, step back, get out of the zone, get out of your isolated focus on this one thing, get out of your isolated focus on this temporal good, necessarily step back, look at the good in your life, call out the gratitude in your life, and give thanksgiving, and identify what you did that was wrong, right? Identify what you did that was wrong and make a commitment moving forward. Make a commitment moving forward that you're not going to do it again. If you look at it this way, the examination of conscience involves reflecting prayerfully on one's thoughts, words, and deeds in order to identify any sins. This is if we want to put this in the spiritual religious context. Identifying any sins. Where did you do wrong? Do wrong by yourself, do wrong by others, and do wrong by God. And when you prepare yourself in this way continuously, a really pretty remarkable thing happens. You necessarily start to, what I call, you start to autocorrect. You start to see things before they happen. When you're so aware of your sins, when you're so aware of where you missed the mark, it becomes a natural part of your day to just examine that in the moment and not need to do it as much like at a set time once a day. It builds a habit of being aware of where you're falling short, and you necessarily start to correct it, because through that prayer, through that examination of conscience, you're asking for God's help to expose those things and give you the courage to take action on them. So going back, the lost soul, what areas of your life, it's a good question to ask, what areas of your life are you necessarily focused so intently on that you're disconnected from reality? And the next question you got to ask yourself is, am I going to allow myself to continue to be disconnected from those things around me? Or am I going to allow this to be an opportunity for me to take action today, to make a change today, to make my life in 2021 something that it wasn't in 2020, and something that it's going to be moving me forward into a space to be the best version of myself that I possibly can be. Hope that was helpful. If you haven't checked out Soul, definitely check it out. It's really cute. It's on Disney Plus. You can get it there. But definitely hit that like button, drop some comments down below, pound that subscribe button like you mean it, so you can continue to get more of this awesome content. From all of us here at Practical Theism, we'll catch you next time. Thanks.